Thursday night, it is time for the Coakley Report. Steve Coakley is live and uncensored. Steve, are you with us?
Yes.
All right, Steve, how you doing, man?
Oh, I'm standing strong.
That's the only way to stand.
Well, some stand on 2 feet.
Yeah, that's true, and some stand on 4, so you watch out for those 4-legged humans around there.
Oh, well, okay, a couple things. One, for the people who are tuning in now, at 15 minutes after the hour, 15 minutes after the hour and about 12 minutes or 13 minutes from now, I want you to get your tapes out and get ready, because we're going to make a special. We're going to make a special preview of the documentary, This Jones Ain't No Soul Brother. And in the 15 minutes leading up to 15 after the hour, wherever you are, if you need to go, it'll be 11:15, 10:15 on Central, 8:15 on the West Coast. You got to prepare for this, because we didn't got to the bottom of the first layer or something. Everybody is going to enjoy the hearing peeled off. It'll probably take about a good 15 minutes, unadulterated, to explain it. And we're going to start from a point of time in history where hatred raised its ugly head. And hatred did everything it could to advance its sick-ass goals. And we're going to find it in history, and we're going to find the parallel of it in the present-day society. And I want all of you to hear at 15 after the hour. In the meantime, let me give you a little update on a couple of things. Between the last show and this show, the host, Matt Kazee of the 33rd Parallel, TruthMovement.com, gave me a call and informed me that he had advanced to a person, he'll name him, my number or something, I guess, and that it was, they were informed what my concerns were, or maybe what my request was, and, quote, the ball is in their court. Now, I'll state this for the record, for everyone to know exactly where this is headed. I challenge Alex Jones to a public debate in an arena that holds 5,000 chairs or more. There will be no radio broadcast strike. There will not be a radio conversation about the issues of the debate, but I forward publicly the format. In fact, the same format that was used when I debated Larry Elder, and for some of the same reasons. And we sold out an auditorium of 1,000 people. And I suggest to Alex Jones and to all who are listening, there'll be nothing in between now and then. I'll offer him a 30-minute opportunity to speak, to which I would respond. I forward him a 15-minute opportunity to respond, to which 15 minutes I respond, and 5 and 5 to respond again, and then we will turn it over to the people before we make our final comment at the end of our debate. What are we debating? We're debating the same old trash that made America garbage, and the same themes and strategies that belittle the thinking of our people and force them into the little fierce, scary little brackets that don't allow them to take the steps necessary to stand up for the issues that they truly believe in based on real analysis. Now, I'm doing quite extensive preparation all over the country for this debate. We'll soon put flyers in every major city stating the issues why we have asked Alex Jones to step forward for this debate. He will at least have half of every ticket in any auditorium, no matter what size. I seek no advantage in this debate whatsoever. This is a friendly debate. It's not adversarial, but for what I stand for and the people who stand with me, these things that I see in Alex Jones are some of the worst sort of problems that have plagued America for hundreds of years. And sometimes things have to be called to a focus where the average person doesn't get sham with little tricky things like fighting communism. What a stupid analysis. What a dumb, ancient characterization of white duplicity described by other whites in a simple and retarded sort of way. So I stand to say that in the meantime, we will produce a documentary entitled This Jones Ain't No Soul Brother. And we're going to bring together some of the great moments of that Jones so our people can get a good idea of what has been bombarding them on a covert, psychoanalytical way. And from our focus, from the people who I stand with, the victims of white supremacy, it reminds us of a moment in time in Dallas, Texas. Texas. We're going to talk about Texas showing its ass. It wants to succeed from the United States of America because the little vicious, nasty, stinking, dirty, thieving, murdering Texas just can't get its way any longer. It's had its ass up in the White House and all over this country for at least 100 years, but within the last 30 years, too much, too long, too extensive, too dirty, and full of complicit cohorts who have assisted this dirty little Texas activity. Now, at 15 minutes after the hour, we're going to start with the assassination of John Kennedy in Texas, where the man who succeeded him was from Texas, and the man who set up the investigation was from Texas. I'll see you and finish this conversation at 15 minutes after the hour. I will call you right on the line, man.
Okay, so you got to go? Steve? Okay, well, that was strange. Well, I guess he's going to call back in at 15 after the hour. So, I don't know what to say. I think that's saying that about the entire state of Texas. I think that's a little rough. Because I've got a lot of good friends in Texas, and I know that there are wild folks in all states, but to say that it's the entire state of Texas is a little bit much for me. Okay, 15 after the hour, you heard it. Apparently, that's 5 minutes, so there's going to be some information from Steve about this documentary that they're working on, so I'm going to go ahead and take another break. All right, welcome back to the broadcast. We've got Steve Coakley on the horn with us. Steve, you got the floor.
All right. Let's tell a little story about that great state called Texas. And since Texas is the home territory of the man who thinks he's the hottest thing in the country, who thinks his struggle is the highest and most divine and most precise struggle in the history of all struggles, let's spend a little time talking about Texas. Now, I know Martin Luther King didn't make it when he couldn't get to Dallas. They tricked him out of Texas. Texas was a unique moment. But let's draw that little area around the time of November 1963. November 1963. And as I go through a little of this, and you get your pencil and your paper out, I'll give you some names. It's going to be the first round of a bunch of names I'm going to read you about coup d'etat in America. And I want you to tell me if this is New World Order or same old shit. And I want you to tell me if it matches or looks identical or resembles the same sort of thing that's trying to wind itself up today. And I'll say emphatically, I won't wait until you set the climate to work against someone better than anyone you ever backed up. And no one would take lightly the steps you took once identified in front of all of the victims, the people who could be hurt by what some people are recklessly doing. And who is given the money? And where does the money come from? For Texas has financed, quote, anti-communism for quite a while. In Texas, Dallas-Fort Worth area, anti-communism was and is still funded by forces who consider themselves patriots. I love the Constitution as it was originally written. Used to be one of the statements that a man used to make. And of course, that originally written Constitution had my ass right in slavery with a price on my head and no freedom whatsoever. It was the original con game. Communism and capitalism. Are these valid analogies? Garbage. A group of white men have controlled both sides of this phony analogy. It's a nothing analogy. You know, Ronald Reagan played the analogy, but he was right tight with Gorbachev. Nixon played the anti-communism analogy, and he was right tight with Texas. And I'll tell you something when we're finished. You'll see how logical it is that Yao Ming of China plays for Houston. For it was out of Houston the ambassador to China made sure it was in the forefront of that cultural cross-pollination. Texas, anti-communism. The right to be a racist. You see, patriotism suggests that racism is appropriate. Christianity and other religions found reasons to justify the exploitation of other people, and not one of their books, or even the words that made it so, have been amended or changed. No Bible's amended its misconversation. No religion has changed its ultimate cornerstone. And as time has passed on, we could not forget Texas. Now, Texas in the news right now is, if you look at the show on one of the news shows, Keith Olbermann Countdown, you could see a poll that was taken in the states of Texas, Georgia, and Oklahoma, where the fever to leave the United States is rising, though on a mass level it's an 8%. But in Texas, in Georgia, in Oklahoma, there becomes a small pot of people who just can't imagine with their patriotic racist selves that they could sit still for 3 minutes to see if somebody might have a solution that they themselves didn't come up with. That somebody might have a chance to do something that they themselves didn't pull off. That somebody might have the chance to do something that needs meticulous attention to pull it off. If you're going to go against the greatest forces ever existed in the whole world, you think you're going to call them and tell them you're coming? Or do you have to do this in such a way that to accomplish this goal, it takes meticulous focus? But then there's these forces of history. Yeah, if you went around the circles of Dallas and Fort Worth and San Antonio and the other big cities of Texas, Midland, you would have found great anti-communist sentiment. The Murchison family, the Hunt family, the Bush family, Texas big oil connections, Lyndon Baines Johnson, organized crime, the Republican Strike Republic National Bank. Meyer Lansky, Carlos Marcello, Sam Giancana, Alan Dulles and John Foster Dulles, Alexander Haig, Cyrus Vance, Vernon Walters, Averill Harriman of Brown Brothers Harriman, Halliburton, Joseph Califano, David Phillips, James Angleton, very key in the CIA and the fake anti-communism fight in Dallas, George DeMourinshield, the Cabell brothers, the mayor and the intelligence one, Wild Bill Donovan, James Bass, Thomas Devine, big CIA Bush friend, Donald Rumsfeld, Dick Cheney. How about James Baker III of Texas, who assured the stealing of the election for Texas? Texas fucked everybody every chance it ever had. It only ever been for damn self. And now it raises its head. It sets the climate to do again what it already done. But this time we meet you in the galley. Do you really want to go there? J. Edgar Hoover, William Sullivan. How about James Jack Crichton, C-R-I-C-H-T-O-N, Jack Cason. How about Neil Mallon, who ran the little Council for World Affairs down in Dallas, that made sure he helped set the climate that Kennedy was a communist. Listen to the little Alex Jones show, and it's Obama will bring communism. What a retarded analysis. But that's really a rallying call to kill a man. I ain't no fool. It's already been done. Same money, still pimping the same action. B.F. McLean, Dallas Civil Defense, General Lansdale, Clay Shaw, David Ferry, Lee Harvey Oswald, who had to be led to Dallas. This man was a defect of the U.S. government. He was at the radar station in Japan. He defected to the Soviet Union, and the U.S. State Department paid for him to come into America. And George DeMourinshield, an operative of the Rockefeller family and segments of the U.S. government, especially George Bush, who became head of CIA in 75, though he worked for CIA for 20-some years prior to that. The DuPonts were big in Texas. Dressler Industries, the Crown family with General Dynamics, Albert Jenner, Arlene Specter, the John Birch Society, the KKK, and the American Legion. One man reported that in '63, half of the Dallas Police Department was in the KKK. And then we watched the police stop the brother because he wanted to see his mother-in-law safely to the other world. And he stopped and held up with the same old shit. Yeah, do you really want to go there? Those fellas were big in Texas. They had oil big in Texas. Howard Hughes was big in Texas. Robert Mayhew, who was a liaison between us. Barry Goldwater, the Dallas Chamber of Commerce. George Boucher, the first Soviet man to see Oswald around Dallas before George DeMourinshield carried him from New Orleans into Dallas so he would be at the Texas Book Depository, whose owner was all a part of all these things. And the man in the lead car to make sure it slowed down on the nightmare on Elm Street in Dealey Plaza, Richard Nixon. Oh yeah, he was around during that time and was very important, influential as well. These names and thousands more. Nicholas Katzenbach was the Deputy Attorney General, Rhodes Scholar. Oswald was a lone assassin, emphatically, instantly, without investigation. Earl Warren, 33rd degree Mason. LBJ ridiculed that he had something on him that Hoover gave him. And when he told Warren to head the Warren Commission, One said no. LBJ reminded him of this incident, and he quickly said, oh yes, I'll do whatever you need. Gay Boomer, he was big in Texas. So let me see, you set the climate that a man is a communist, and how about Castro and Cuba and the Bay of Pigs and Lake Pontchartrain and all the rest of that? All of this centering around Texas and Florida. Yeah, they was going to kill him in Florida. Sounds familiar. But instead, they end up shooting him in Texas. Texas, where the man who got shot was succeeded by a man of Texas. And the man of Texas ran the investigation. While another man of Texas, little George Bush, the daddy, 66, became the congressman in Texas. As he had moved around the world, quote, for the CIA, there's a document, and it's mentioned in the book, The Family Secrets, by Russ Baker, that there was a memo stating that George H.W. Bush of Texas was briefed by Hoover after the Kennedy assassination. But Bush in 63 was not known to be a member of the Central Intelligence Agency. So many of the Skull and Bones members, as we can better understand now in this life, Skull and Bones has been a foundation for the Central Intelligence Agency. So now we come to the present day, where it's the same old Texas anti-communism conversation. Who's a communist? If Obama's going to bring communism, where is he going to get it from? I want to know where communism is. Is it in the Soviet Union? Is it in France? Is it in Canada? Is it in Mexico? Where is communism, and who is the head of communism? And if in 30 seconds you can't describe the top 50 people of communism, it'll be obvious that it's bullshit conversation. Just something to stir somebody up so somebody can get hurt. What an idiot. Who's financing this garbage? That'll be part 2. You can hear that next week. We'll start calling out who still finances the same old garbage. Forces have been financing these things for hundreds of years, and they're still doing it now. Me, myself, I have no money. I'm not financed by nobody. We find and say these things on behalf of who we consider the victims of this thing. And for whatever they call it, the Boston Red Sox, New World Order, Trilateral Commission, Ku Klux Klan, World Affairs Council, by whatever name it comes, it still reacts the same when it gets to us. Damn it all. But you ain't going to run no little fake conversation. So one of the things that'll get clarified in a debate is who are the enemies of our people. No analogies like the Jew or the white man or the system or the government. No, we will name the names. That will be the bar for the people to vote on. The value of the conversation will be by the evidence, not the hysteria, not the little rally call, not the same old whip 'em up with not much clarity type of stuff. Now, I've been listening to this stuff. Oh, boy, we're being victimized by the same people who promote you. See, we fall for that one, then we would have been up for many other things. Now, I state again, a debate over the issues surrounding, 1, the Obama deception, 2, communism, 3, who are the real enemies of the people, and 4, what people exactly are we talking about? Because everybody doesn't seem comfortable with all forms of conversation. People tend to attract to people who they can control and say things that they find accommodating. They all do it. They all get on their things and use their things to their own personal advantage. Most days of the week, I got 40 cents in my pocket. I don't need money. I don't use money. I don't covet money. I don't fight to get money. But some of these people got money falling out their ears, for many forces have been allowed to stir the pot for which they will wickedly, unfairly benefit. Now, the way I see things in the world, things are moving fast, and everybody is going to make it. Last week we talked about that swine flu. This week they kind of say, well, it's the wind down flu. Yeah, okay, when enough people get up with it. But what really is the stir up of the pot? Everybody watch carefully if you hear Obama announce he's going to Texas. Everybody keep your eyes open wide and see if there isn't public consternation to stop him from going there, because it ain't right yet. There is acting like there did years ago. So you got people so wound up they want to kill a man. Yeah, it was early too. Now, Kennedy was shot by 63. He took office in 61. Reagan was shot March 31st. He took office in January. So you can see in the later date thing, it gets a little closer. Now, John Kerry and Al Gore have been pacifists instead of radicals, or, they call them socialists too. But if they weren't pacifists, if they didn't believe in white America, they could have forced this country into turmoil at the moment the election was stolen. Texas is an interesting thing, man. Texas killed the president and Texas took over. Texas changed the direction of the Vietnam War. Was that New World Order or was that coup d'etat? The same forces who were in on those things, are they still alive today? Are they still spending money on stuff? Do they have ideas? Did they win the election or did they lose it? They feel a little bitter and want to go it alone. So what they say is treason to say you want to break away, but, it was the beginning of the Civil War that made this all come back again. Drag them all down if you can. Like Rush Limbaugh, you'll make your money. And making your money is at the core of where you go. You're number one on this, you're number one on that. If you're number one on all of this, meet me in that auditorium with 5,000 seats up more, and we'll clarify your number oneness. Or it'll be the number one, all right, but not the number one, not the head of the line you thought you were in. That's part one on this Jones ain't no soul brother. And Texas, do you really want to go there? All right, Matt.
Well, definitely sounds interesting stuff. I think that you're asking whether it's a coup d'etat or the New World Order that killed Kennedy. I think that just kind of like what you said, that it is one and the same. And there was definitely a huge drive in Texas. But at the same time, I want to make clear, are you saying that the entire state of Texas are bad folks and racists and stuff like that?
Well, now, who said that?
No, that's what I'm saying. Well, earlier you said you're talking about Texas, the whole state, and how bad it is, and I just want you to be clear on that, because I've got friends in Texas, and they're good folks, and I know that there are good and bad folks everywhere.
And I'm saying in Texas, the bad folks dominate.
Well,
and the good folks, see, this was a part of the consideration that went into the focus, was if you're looking, see, it's something I tell the students when I get to them, change the things you can reach. Now, if you're on a college campus and there's discrimination and there's unfair practices, and you avoid them so you can graduate, and you're going to go to a big city, and you're going to make the changes that you just avoided at a smaller spot, I say change the things you can reach. So when I look around where you're standing, and I hear you looking for something, but I don't see you looking where you're standing, then that's the allegation. And that allegation is very emphatic that Texas was a part of setting the climate that got a president killed that had his successor come from Texas. That's emphatically what I said.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's what I said.
Also, you know, all the talk of seceding from the Union, and there's been rumors of that of Alaska, Vermont, Texas. You know, I mean, really breaking the country apart right now is precisely what the United Nations and the New World Order would love. So, you know, I'm very skeptical.
No, stop now. See,
what?
You went to the United Nations.
Yeah,
you went to the New World Order.
They're one and the same.
I said Texas. I said Alex Jones. See, when you say, wouldn't someone love to have this happen? I'm accusing someone of doing it. Now, those people who you're calling could all be doing it too. But I'm specifically calling out something that I saw, that I heard, that documented, and I specifically said where it was. I specifically said something about how it is in the past. And I specifically said this climate seems a lot like now, all over again. And that the same people who were financing that stuff in the 60s are still around to finance it in 2000s. Same people.
You're exactly right. And a lot of those guys got blatantly let off the hook, all kinds of leads that weren't followed up. You had E. Howard Hunt back, I think it was in 2003 or 2004, confess on his deathbed of the entire conspiracy. Let me ask you about, have you heard of the Council on National Policy?
The Council on National Policy?
Yeah.
No.
It's kind of the new Council on Foreign Relations. They've been around for quite a while. It is the right-wing branch of what I would refer to as the Council on Foreign Relations. It's kind of a wing of that whole operation. Pat Buchanan and a whole bunch of folks. But it is definitely a right-wing thing. And, you know, I've just heard some information. I did an interview with a guy who did a documentary on it, and it sounds pretty credible stuff. And he's got a lot of information on how the Council on National Policy is actually doing a lot of the steering of climates, particularly.
Dallas, Fort Worth, San Antonio, Austin, Texas. I'm looking at something going on all day, all night, running itself on phone lines, computers, internet, Google's, MySpace, and I'm looking specifically at something somebody is doing. Now, all the rest of them have now, Pat Buchanan, you might pick him up at another meeting. You might pick him up at the tavern. Pat has tendencies that are well known, including that period where he fought, quote, the Jewish newspaper establishment, and stayed in the media. But what's on the table right now, what I am trying to get everybody to focus on, is something that I find strange. It doesn't add up. It's outdated. It's irrelevant. But it's virulent. It's infectious. It's dangerous. And it can't be focused on because it doesn't have a real focus. It's pseudo-focus. I'm fighting communism. Man, I don't know what the Council on National Priorities, Council on Foreign Relations, Foreign Policy Association, Disney Foundation, Atlantic Council, United Nations Association. I could talk to every one of them. I could call them all out. I might tell you when they meet, who goes there. I might tell you where they go when they leave there. But right now, I'm dealing with this something that is got to be dealt with in one form or another. And I've challenged it to a fair and open debate about what it stands for and whether or not. Because when you tell people you fighting the New World Order and then you do the same kind of thing, you be the worst sort of confusion. So we're going to clear up what is a pesky little set of confusion. In fact, let me ask you something, Matt. What the hell is communism?
Well, you know, I couldn't
quite... Now, I hear your boy... Now, let me just say this emphatically. I hear your boy, Alex Jones. He's on the air. He's fighting communism. What the hell is that?
Well, you know, honestly, it is a form of government where the state controlled everything, but I guess you could theoretically get into a lot of tangents as to what communism actually is. I think it's bad news. I'm a capitalist, so, but, there again, I met a lot of people in D.C. when I was protesting who, when I brought that up to them, accused me of being the dirty capitalist and not supporting socialism, which is not necessarily communism. In fact, it's not quite communism, but, so, it's, for me, I wouldn't know how to answer that. I don't know what
Who's the head of communism?
Well, I know that it was engineered by the same globalists who are behind the United Nations, and they're funding both sides of the war. So, I don't know who's behind communism.
Okay. So this is sort of what I'm saying. We got everybody fighting something called communism. But if I ask them to tell me who's the head of it, you see, it's like fighting inflation. You can't whip inflation because it's an adjective, all right? You can't whip the man unless you say which man.
Well, if I had to say which man, and this is probably wrong, I'm going to say that because I don't know exactly who the main players are in that, but I would have to say David Rockefeller, whose family profited from communism and helped spread communism.
This is the king of capitalism. You a capitalist. That's your daddy.
What, David Rockefeller?
Now, watch how retarded this gets. Is China communist?
Yes.
Why is Yao Ming in Houston?
I have no idea, because he can play ball.
The Bush family was ambassador to China, and Houston was his home base. And the underground relationship between China and Houston, Nixon in China, Kissinger in China, Rockefeller in China, and the nasty, dirty, funky products that put the American people out of work. You see, when I get to the bottom of y'all, and I undress y'all gonna be naked with the same thing you swear you against, I'm gonna prove to you support. That you don't know the head from the ass of this thing, and every time you speak on these things, you confuse the people, and I allege that's a crime.
Well, I'm fighting the New World Order, and I understand that pretty well. I'm not a genius. I'm not
too sure you know that, because, see, that New World Order thing, see, if you're a Democrat, it's the Democrats and Republicans. If it's the left or the right, it's the New World Order, or it's the what? What if it ain't New World Order? What is that? What is it?
Well, according to people like Parag Khanna and Council on Foreign Relation luminaries, that it would be between socialism and communism are the only options, and that would be what the United Nations represents, and that's what the strive is for, and that eventually capitalism would have to go.
Okay, man, it's 13, 14, and they're burning Jacques de Molay. They're burning Jacques de Molay at the stake. What is it, communism or capitalism?
That's a tough question. See, I don't know.
You see, what I'm telling you is that the things been going on in the world, been going on longer than the modern day analogies people use to confuse the people.
I agree. I agree with
communism and capitalism back then, but it seemed to do the same old fucking shit. That's what I'm saying. So if you can drop all of those phony analogies, because your capitalism built that communism, my man.
Oh, I know that. I understand that.
Well, then now, see, because I'm about to tell you how the Kama River Truck Factory, show you how wacko y'all are. The Kama River Truck Factory was built in the Soviet Union as the largest truck factory ever. Then they used them trucks and tanks to get into Afghanistan, so then they forced Jimmy Carter to cancel the Olympics, right? See, they're forcing Obama on Afghanistan and some more things like they forced Kennedy on Cuba. Same kind of thing, man. They gonna be there as long as Castro gonna be in Cuba. Same way them other people, because don't nobody wanna live there but them. Nobody wanna be there but them. And when they move around a little bit, everybody gets a little jumpy. But one year, your boy George Bush is with Osama bin Laden, and they're giving him money and everything. And one day they're giving missiles to Iran, and the next day they're fighting them. Come on, man. These things are retarded. You do the people a disservice when these ancient analogies are used. Things aren't so clear as all of that. And those phrases keep the people from really figuring out, hey, how about this one? There's no culture without agriculture. Who's fighting to feed the people? No, they're feeding them with that junk in their head, but they're not trying to feed them, because the one that feeds them, the one that clothes them, see, I said, my man, here come Alex Jones people. They got DVDs in their pocket. I said, you mean they ain't got no lettuce? They ain't got no bread? They ain't got no cash? They come in here with a DVD? First time they showed up in our community, and they bring a DVD? Is that like the Christian when he brought the Bible? Same old thing, let me colonize your neighborhood? Because you ain't talking straight. You talking crazy. And you couldn't prove. That's why we going to have this debate.
Well, now, wait a second, Steve. Are you saying that I'm talking crazy when I mentioned the New World Order and that I'm fighting against that, and that's as far as close as I can see to the problem are the people behind the New World Order, which has been going on for about 125 years?
What was it before 125 years?
It wasn't the New World Order.
Oh, it wasn't,
it's the old world order. I mean, if you really want to get down to it, that phrase didn't come about until really Madame Blavatsky and all the Freemasons that, plotted the treachery of the United States.
Thomas Jefferson, George Washington?
Well, you know what? Thomas Jefferson and George Washington both, and specifically George Washington, spoke out against the Illuminati, and he didn't think that it was as bad as it was, and he understood the Fabian societies were in America and that they were being steered by the Illuminati, but he didn't think that it was as bad as it was, but he spoke out against it. Did you know that the World Freemasonry went out of their way to ban Masonry in America? And if it wasn't for people like George Washington and Thomas Jefferson, who at least had some modicum of sense compared to what was going on at the day, although they didn't have it completely, but they wrote into their own articles the liberation as much as they could understand, but they weren't, super geniuses either. So, but I think that they fought against the European Masons, and they still do to this day.
Okay, let me see if I can figure something out. Now, this is where it gets down to the bare bone of it. Was it about New World Order, or was it about white supremacy? George Washington, is he a patriot? Is he a colonial thief pig? Did he rip and rob the people when he saw them? What did he do with the black people when he saw them? Did he love them? Did he hug them? Or did he enslave them? If he enslaved them, then what does the argument about Freemasonry have to do when they saw slavery the same damn way? See, the deeper we get into this, we're going to see that these things that people grab onto are false scenarios. I tell you that if you're fighting the New World Order, you will never win. But if you put a name on that monkey, if you put a spot on him, if you decide in front of everybody that the end of him is at this point, and then you lead the people to that point, then we will call that you did what you said. Now, I see a lot of people out here talking about stuff, right? But when y'all on the video at the Bilderberger, and it's a legitimate disagreement. But again, I allege that this is led off in a phony direction, and the conversation has gotten phony, is what I said. And if at any time you use the phony conversation, then I say it to you.
Well, my main concern really are, the closed-door meetings with people like the Council on Foreign Relations, the Bilderberg Group, the Trilateral Commission. And if you want me to say whether it's white supremacy or a New World Order, it is definitely white supremacy. We both know that. That is the name of the tune. Eugenics was their religion. That's their New World religion, no doubt. But really for me, naming names, David Rockefeller and Holbrook and all the CFR guys and William Crystal and the think tanks, all these people are actively trying to dissolve the United States for a North American Union. That's what I'm fighting against. And so,
Hey, but I'm telling you that when half the white population believes that Fox News is leading them in a direction that's fighting communism.
Yeah, that's sad.
Against the New World Order.
That's sad.
And we know that for Rothschild.
Yeah.
And people pan out into dramas that actually are the same drama. I say that people end up doing things with the same people that actually they're against, but without clarity. See, Fox has one of the largest constituencies in the white media that's vocal, directly vocal. for values, for those kind of values, family values, life values, whatever those values are. And that is not a genuine, that's not a genuine daddy over there. That guy is just getting that side of it, while somebody else got the other side of it. And that's where independent media comes in, Truth Movement, or the Coakley Report, or Alex Jones. These are where the independent medias become important when they are in the position to strike against, to speak against, to clarify against all that other media. But it's the same thing happens sometimes in Afrocentrism. Afrocentrism, a deep focus on our people. Sometimes that analysis on the enemy is distorted. I know. I've been up on some of the greatest of our people, and if you get right down to it, there's not a consensus on who and what is the enemy. And some cases, I might say Jesse Jackson, what about Rockefeller? He said, no, I think it's daycare and education and prison and I say, well, those are syndromes, those are symptoms of something, and but he don't want to agree that it's the Rockefeller Foundation, because he got some Rockefeller Foundation money, so somebody not going to call that name now. So what if somebody takes some Hunt family money? Somebody takes some Hunt family money. Somebody takes some Hunt family money, or the Hunt make sure they put some money in the advertising bin, or if it get down, they make sure they cover it, and they got all kind of messed up values, stand for nothing, fair and equal, have been racist for a long time, and somebody turned their money down because it's racist money?
Well, I mean, speaking about that, I mean, honestly, when you get people like Austin Goolsby, Skull and Bones, who Obama picked as his image advisor, and, you know, I have no opinion about Obama yet because I still think it's too early to tell. There have been quite a few things that he's done that have surprised me and that I support. But when you get people like the 19 Council on Foreign Relations Trilateral Commission that, you know, are handpicked, and then you find out that George Soros was the guy that published his first book, I mean, it does look a little strange.
I just brought up to you about the Hunt family.
And by the way, I forgot to mention to you about Hunt.
Excuse me just a second. You didn't answer the question when I asked you, so let me rephrase it again.
Okay.
I said, if the Hunt put some money on a commercial and the Hunt is a racist, would your boy Alex Jones have given the money back, or did he take the money?
I have no idea. You know, I have no idea and don't have any comment about that. I have no idea, but I did want to mention to you about the Hunt family. The Hunt oil people were big players in that council on national policy.
Man, they run Texas.
That wouldn't surprise me in the least. It's big oil.
The Bass family, the Murchisons, they always, all fleeing are still around. Those same people are still doing stuff. And it ain't much else going on but what they're doing. But they're financing a climate in America. Now, you don't know about the money, but I'm going to show where the money went when we get to next week. We're going to talk about the money because we're going to follow the money, and we're going to see if what people say matches the money they took. You know, this thing is going to unfold. And it's okay. That's the way it goes. Got the fish on the hook. We're going to get to the bottom of it. So I stand to say that the analogy about fighting communism is phony. And I say that some of the conversation about the New World Order, like communism, left, right, Democrat, Republican, is skewed in a way that it doesn't allow the people to get to the bottom of it. Now, a little while back, let me put my binoculars, let me put you in my binoculars, and let me take a little look at you and say, okay, shows back, I say, okay, Matt, you go get your people, and I'll get my people, and we'll get in the room and have a conversation. Remember that?
Yeah, that would be great.
No. See, whatever's great is great, but to follow through is a different conversation. So if I say to you, I offer this, and then 6 months later you say, hey, I think that's great when I brought it up again, I'm saying that doesn't reflect the intention. It doesn't match what now we say, hey, me.
No, wait. It doesn't match my intention?
No, see, if I said that to you maybe 6 months ago, maybe even longer.
Okay? Yeah, I remember that. I thought it was great then. I think it's great now.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is, you know, we talk, and we say, hey, I'll meet you in this city, or I'll meet you in that city, or I'm coming to this city, or you're going to that city. But that people thing, see, I know how to get to the bottom of stuff. And I think when the people get together, they can get to the bottom of stuff. But I know if they don't ever get together, if they don't get to the bottom of nothing. So
yeah, I agree.
Just they can avoid getting together. Now it's very risky for the people think like a lot. We read a lot, man. We study a lot. We have to admit our own mistakes. We don't have no money, so we're not doing it for any good reason. I mean, it takes money. Anything we do it for the best reason. That's what's in our heart. And it doesn't always mean you do everything absolutely correct or everything is precise. But in time, I haven't done this. Now, let me say, this is, what's this, May what? What's the date, May what?
May 7th, I believe.
Okay, 21 years ago, May 5th. 21 years ago, 2 days ago, the mayor stood up on all TV in Chicago and announced that he was firing Steve Copeland. You can look these things up on Google, Yahoo. There's thousands of Steve Copley stories where 21 years ago, every newspaper in the world attacked me. Every one of them, man. And they started their attack on May 1st, the Illuminati birthday. And when everybody said, man, they attack you, you front page of the Tribune, top story, everybody, they're attacking you. Yeah, man, this is the Illuminati birthday, and I'm so deep in their ass that they're knocking on my door to let me know that I've knocked on their door. But this is a different kind of knock now. This ain't no, hey, I'm so glad I found you. This is, I was destined to destroy you. You know, now they attacked me on May 1st. The mayor fired me on May 5th. I was special assistant to the mayor of Chicago. Man, I was probably the lowest paid person in the mayor's office. I think I was making $35,000. I think the secretaries was making $36,000. Then money wasn't even a thing, man. It didn't have nothing to do with money. It had something to do with the government change. The guy I was working for ended up the mayor. And everybody knew that if what I knew could influence this man, that Chicago was going a destiny that would be anti-everything you ever said you were against. Because we went about the process of being in the position to get the opportunity to grab the throttle. Now, people who greatly underestimated who we are, didn't quite know who we were, said, why would all these New York Times, Wall Street Journal, Economist, London Times, every paper in Texas, L.A. Times, I remember my mama called me, you're in the paper in L.A. Times, they're attacking you, what's going on, son? I say, hey, I don't know. But, you know, I got attacked on April 1st, 1975. And I was attacked on April 1st, 1975. It's kind of funny, these things go in 5-day spans. And I was in college, and I was attacked April 1st, 75. And I knew that when they really finished with me, I'm a senior in college. I'm signing some CIA and some other stuff on my campus. My president is acting a little weird, President Nelson. I know something strange going on. And I bust on it trying to have a protest in honor of Martin King's death, who had died April 4th, 68. But I'm going to have this protest. This is April 4th, 75. All the information ain't even in yet. But we're going to move on the Martin King thing. But on April 1st, the president had me picked up. And on April 5th, they held me in the hospital until they let me go. And I said, if I ever get out of here alive, April 5th, 75, if I ever get out of here alive, I'm going to find out who it was that grabbed me against my will and scared my mama and daddy, and they couldn't get me back for 5 days. 2, if I found out who did such a thing, I beg for the right to communicate to all who would listen, like we do tonight, about those people who had grabbed me and then grabbed thousands of other people like me for centuries before that. And 3, if we effectively communicated who these people were, and that's where we get the core negativity, the circle within a circle, secret society. Watch the commercials. Watch the use of the circles. I will call you who they are. They wear their identification tags if you know their uniforms. And that we swear against this circle within circle secret society, and that if I was able to communicate that these were the people, the core negativity, that I beg for the right to destroy it, to kill it. So that's where we stand, 75. By 1988, I was special assistant to the mayor of Chicago. 13 years after they had attacked me and tried to take the will and the spirit away from me from getting to the people who everybody say they're after. 13 years later, I was up to the mayor, probably was in the position that pulled off a lot of other things. There were some meetings I called around the mayor that he himself could have never called that brought all factions of the city in that house. And I went in the Polish community, the Lithuanian community, the Italian community. I picked up Coakley's in every ethnic group, my friend, and they're still there. They've spread all over the United States. But by the time everybody figured out that I was up and in around that mayor and what I stood for, what my values, what I thought about, they decided they had to attack me. And on May 1st, 88, they started to attack. You can see it in every paper. May 5th, the mayor fires me. May 7th, we have a big rally. May 9th, Minister Farrakhan speaks in defense of Steve Coakley on the west side and the 9 black aldermen who had been indicted by the U.S. government who were associated with Mayor Washington, while the white aldermen had been stealing and thieving for years and still do. The feds come in, bust in on the black mayor, get these guys on wiretap talking stupid, bring a guy in from Waste Management, get them all in there and wipe them out and keep the crooks in office. I worked in the Justice Department, Matt. I watched them steal the evaluations so the white guys could get promoted, man. I watched them take them bad evaluations and illegally go in the safe and change them so that they could promote people that they preferred. And then I watched those files come in of people I could read, and I could see sensitive files about people and things, and how we had Governor Thompson, and he was a trilateral commissioner, Republican governor, and I stayed in the government for 4 years, affirmative action officer. Decided it was time to go. I walked down the city hall, drew my little pension, and stayed there until I testified before the city council about how the Trilateral Commission was taken over from politics. 4 of them offered me a job when I walked off the podium. Alderman Puchinsky in the book, The Invisible Government by Ross and Wise as a CIA operative. He was a Chicago alderman, a Chicago congressman, but he was a CIA operative. Alderman Lupinski, who became Congressman Lupinski, Marion Humes, who I took the position with, and Alderman Cliff Kelly, who was the government informant that helped take away the 9 black aldermen. Now, so we get to this spot, we fighting the same stuff, we get thrown out. We get thrown out, we get pissed on, everybody around me scared. Everybody's told don't advance. Well, I ain't got nothing. I got no card, no driver's license, no job, no money. Everybody in the world gonna attack this dude, but it's quote, we can't have nobody out there, we'll pay you to kind of shut up. Here's $100,000 that they will give you to just shut up. You can live life, take care of your family, man. Hey, man, keep the money. And then the University of Michigan called me and said, man, we'll pay you $1,000 to come up here and give a lecture. That was in February of 1990. And then I went all over the country to speak to children, some who are grown now, whose lives have never been the same. After 25, 35 years of toiling the soil, I take bitterly these false conversations because I lived every inch of everything I said. I drove men's stock from $119 a share down to $1.19. Ask Carl Linder, Chiquita in Cincinnati, did we or did we not strip him of his money when he became a target of unfairly exploiting the people in his state, in his city? Ask him, did we do it? Walk around some of these other people, them people who you against, ask them, do they see us on their block? Ask this the little Jewish element that I found this Jewish spy thing, the Jewish Council on Urban Affairs with the United Way. They spying on the community group, the American Jewish Congress, American Jewish Committee, the Anti-Defamation League. I call them spying in 79. They were busted in the 80s through the San Francisco Chronicle and turned into felons. They were spying on all the citizens, but people were scared to step up to them. The Clown family, the Zell family, the Pritzker family. I could call out every one of them who struck their name against mine, Raul Emanuel. But that didn't stop the train. We didn't back up. We don't take shit. and we don't allow phony conversation, because all this pain we went through to get in a spot to destroy that which we were sworn to. And nobody and nothing will deflect from the goal. Many people pledge and claim to be on a lot of things. From time to time, I've been with all of them. So when the real deal comes down, 99% of them run. But the 1% is enough to do what has to be done, and it will be done. Real change will come in time. Sophisticated. Hey, you know, levels of sophistication that go against these alleged enemies. Strategies have to be far clever, far real clever. No stupid stuff. This is some serious business. And at this stage, we stand against these things. On the path, we meet people of like character. With them, we can form a bond that needs no utterance, a mere word. That's why the secret society got the rituals and the fear thing and the blindfold, because they got the fear in the people that they support. But these people that we work with, these are like-thinking people. They are not easily shaken by bad weather or big traffic or opposing enemies. Nah, they weathered many storms greater than ones left to come. So we stand at this threshold. And that's a little bit of the backdrop. When we get to that great debate with Steve Coakley versus Alex Jones, we're going to bring out a little bit about ourselves. We're going to speak to our history, how we got to this moment in time. I do not want to be on the Alex Jones show. In fact, thousands of people would tell him what needs to be done. Now, he's a million man. He's a million this, and he's the top one on that, and he's being violated, and they're attacking him. He's got a lot of problems, but them problems are irritation. We got some serious conversation before a serious problem. And so I look forward to it. I know it's going to happen. We're going to go from city to city. We're setting it up. We'll be previewing this Jones Ain't No Soul Brother. We'll be breaking down some of the things said in the past so our people can know why we decided this must be done. And people thought Larry Elder wasn't going to be there, but Larry Elder got there. And when he got on TV that next Monday, I said, Larry Elder, I had a debate with Steve Coakley. What happened? He said, man, I was ambushed in South Central. And he wasn't ambushed with people that were sold out, but he was ambushed with good information. And the topic was, is Hollywood and the media racist towards blacks? And man, he had every black person ever been in the movies. Was the greatest thing ever. But we got into the new media, and we got into the gay mafia in Hollywood, and we got to get to a lot of stuff. It was a very informative program, and the people learned a lot because we had the program, and a lot of people will learn a lot when we had this program with Alex Jones. And Matt, I want you to be there, man.
Man, I'll definitely be there. I would buy a ticket for that any day of the week. That sounds like it'd be a great thing. You know, 5,000 people coming in and hearing something like that would be pretty powerful. So,
do you understand that if it really was a very positive thing, how much increased power things could be?
Yeah, I do. And
it's an interesting thing.
I do, and I think that that's good enough reason to go for that. Honestly, just for that reason alone. So. Let me know. I'll definitely be there.
Okay, well, you'll be walking through the street one day and you see a poster on one of your neighborhood telephone poles, and you say, "Damn, he was here last week." You'll see that we've been to every corner. We'll be there. We'll go to every place he's been to tell the people that we'll have this conversation, and I look forward to it. But tonight we had a little part one and the climate of Texas and Texas in the past and the danger of such climate. And next week we're going to follow the money. Who's getting this money and where did it come from? And we're going to talk about that. And I appreciate you, Matt.
Well, I appreciate you, Steve, and it's always good to get the Coakley Report live and uncensored every Thursday night on Revere Radio, the worldwide home of free speech. Truly the worldwide home of free speech, no doubt about it.
All right. But this speech costs. I gotta go.
Okay, Steve. Well, you take care,
All right,
man. I'm gonna try and catch up with you because I'm coming out to L.A., man. I wouldn't mind getting a chance to talk to you.
Well, I'm gonna be on the East Coast if you come to the West Coast.
Well, sooner or later our paths will cross.
And who knows? I might be in Dallas, Fort Worth, San Antonio, Austin. I might be riding down to Midland. Yeah, I'm going to Texas. That's where I'm going.
Right on, man. More power to you, Steve. Well, we really appreciate it, and you have a good week, and we'll see you next Thursday night.
All right, man. We appreciate you, man.
All right, take care. There goes Steve Coakley, live and uncensored on Revere Radio, the worldwide home of free speech, every Thursday night at 11 p.m. Eastern. Always a spirited conversation with Steve, and he definitely he brings it when he comes. He names the name and he brings it. So more power to you, Steve. All right, I'm going to take a quick break.